and welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, the gentleman sitting next to me is here for a reason. Most of you know me. I take care of my mom. She's 90 years old. And when you take care of someone who's elderly, there are things that you have to take care of, like bathing, cleaning, and stuff. And to stay sanitary, we've learned that we have to use gloves. With me is Faris Gerard, U.S. Liberty. Okay. And your company does gloves.
Correct.
Okay, so I saw you at an event, and I found it super important to talk about because when we started taking care of my mom, we didn't get, some gloves are latex, some gloves are made of, what else?
Nitro.
Vinyl. So we didn't know which was the best, and you know, in this real world we try to save money, so we used food grade gloves which fall apart like nobody's business. Great for food, but not for what we were doing.
Correct.
Okay, why'd you get into this?
So, I saw the opportunity about 2.5 years ago, and I thought to myself, I can continue my job. I'm an industrial engineer.
Okay.
And travel, as I was working as a consultant, and travel every week, or shall I take advantage of the land of opportunity and start my own business? So I did. So as I was sitting at a restaurant in Jupiter, and I was sitting at the bar watching the kitchen, and they were using a pair of gloves for every chicken or anything that they want to put on the griddle. And take it off and throw it away. Put another pair. And I'm like, okay. And then I was thinking about how people transformed and started becoming a little bit germaphobes. So I said, that's my opportunity. So I started my business. And for me to kind of kick it off, I managed operations before in my career. I'm, like I said, industrial engineer, and I worked in different levels up to the executive level. So I knew how to run an operation, but I never really found my niche. But then I saw it at that restaurant.
You know, excuse me. Now, my wife's in the food industry. So you buy, there's a box of gloves for food, 8 million pair of gloves, they go and they simple. But when you have other things to do, you need better product, like anything. Mm-hmm. So when the interesting thing that you saw, thank God, was people in the kitchen taking a chicken, taking the gloves off after they're finished with it and throwing them away.
Right.
There's a lot of places that use that same pair of gloves to run the register.
It's against code.
Right. But you saw a niche.
I did.
That would say any good restaurant is going to go through gloves.
So restaurants, janitorial companies, hotels, medical service providers, and all different levels from dentist, doctor's office to hospitals. Everybody wears gloves. But like you said, you have to understand what type of glove to use or to wear for what application.
And that's why you're here, because
correct.
I went through a whole rigmarole trying to figure out, taking care of my mom, which is a good glove, which is not a good glove, and I'll probably get this wrong, and that's why you're here. Some people are allergic to latex.
Correct.
Okay, so they have to use a different glove.
So the types of gloves that are out there, the most common, and I'm going to start with the latex. Latex is the second priciest after nitrile. So nitrile, vinyl, and polyethylene, poly short for that, are latex free. Okay? And latex free, that means they're used with chemical compounds that does not use animal products. Mm-hmm. Latex is the only one that uses animal products. Some people like latex because it stretches and they keep doing this to it. Oh, it's perfect, or it ripped. You really don't need to stretch it to the nth degree for it to work, because it's a disposable product. You wear it for 15, 20 seconds and you throw it away. So nitrile is the priciest. Latex comes second. Vinyl comes after that. And then polyethylene.
Poly is thinner.
It's thinner. It's about 1 mil thickness.
Okay.
Now, nitrile, latex, and vinyl come in different thicknesses.
Okay.
So, for example, the car mechanics like a thicker glove than, and they wear it for a while, for a few minutes versus few seconds, and it needs to last. Same thing with vinyl, same thing with latex. But it's just a personal preference, really.
Right.
Right now, nitrile, the thinnest or the most common is about 3 mil, and that's the most common. There's medical grade or examination grade, and there's general use grade. They're the same product coming from the same line, except the examination grade goes through a more rigorous testing for specific standards to make sure there are no holes in it. So, as you can imagine, for doctors and examination grade, they don't want to risk the blood getting or seeping through to the skin. So, except polyethylene. Polyethylene comes basically a 1 mil, and that's the type of gloves that you see when used at Subway and or some of the restaurants who put
They've
toppings.
seen video of my wife doing chocolate, and in order to take the chocolate and put it in the cup, you have to have a glove. Otherwise, you're going to damage the chocolate.
Right.
But you don't need a big latex or nitric glove. You just need
Correct.
a thing that you can just do these 4
Correct.
pieces, take it, and throw it away.
Correct.
So totally different scenario.
Very different.
What's the biggest seller?
So for restaurants, it's latex. Actually, I should say between latex and vinyl. Half of my restaurants like powdered because there's powdered and there's powder free. The powdered has a very light application of cornstarch. And the reason restaurants like to use it because it's easy to get in and out your hands with wet or damp hands.
Okay, so let's just kind of explain. So that cornstarch is inside the glove.
Correct.
Okay.
And above, they
Okay.
just kind of powder it, yeah.
Oh, okay. So that he slides on and slides
Correct.
off a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay. And medical likes it snug and tight.
Well, it's not about the snugness. Medical cannot have powder,
Okay.
as you can imagine. Some restaurants don't like powder because they wear black uniforms, and,
Right.
and of course that shows. But again, it's personal preference. Again, there are some restaurants like to use nitrile, but these are the ones that are pricey and they can afford it. But they really don't need it. But it's a personal preference.
Now, when we talk about gloves, because I had spoken to you at the event, gloves come in, of course, sizes, but they also come in lengths.
Correct.
Because if you ever watch TV and you watch Animal Planet, when they go and get a baby out of a cow or whatever, you surely don't want a glove that's up to here,
Right.
okay? Because your hand's going to go a lot further than that.
Correct.
So how big do the gloves get?
So the most common are 9.5 inch length, which is the
Just above the
one
wrist.
that you see. Yeah. Some of the like paramedics, and fire departments, they like the 12 inch, a little bit thicker and a little bit longer. The vets, for example, use a longer glove sometimes to hear, as you can imagine, they're dealing with the animals and so forth. So yes, there are different lengths for different applications.
Okay, so you get into this. We already figured out your clientele, okay? The business, since you've been in it, has there been changes within the industry?
Absolutely. It changed dramatically in the past 2 to 2.5 years ago.
Because of viruses?
Correct.
Okay.
And the prices dramatically increased because there wasn't enough supply for the demand, as you can imagine. And that really affected all types of industries, and add to that the supply chain issues. So the container, for example, the 40-foot container for ocean freight used to cost around between $4,000 to $5,000. It jumped to $30,000
Wow.
within 6 months or so. So that adds like a domino effect of all different factors, not only for increased prices but also delays. So yes, very dramatic increase in prices and availability as well.
You know, I hate to say it, it's really not. The pricing is the pricing, but it's really not the increased pricing that really benefits your business. You would rather be a low price and have the quantity to give, I would think.
Yeah. So our strategy at US Liberty is how can we provide and supply a quality product. So that was my niche. So I went and made sure that I am the official distributor for US companies only. And the reason for that, because when there was very high demand, there wasn't enough supply. So a lot of bad quality gloves made it into this country. So a lot of the consumers are a little bit wary of who they buy from. So I introduce ourselves as US Liberty that we have 8 plus 1 just recently. So 9 distributorships of US companies. What does that mean is all the products fall under FDA regulations plus American Companies Quality Systems. So a lot of people assume US companies means made in USA. Unfortunately, that's not true. This is a fact. 98% of the consumable rubber gloves in this country are made overseas, between Malaysia, Thailand, China, and Vietnam. And unfortunately, what's made in the US is 2%. So right now I have 2 interested investors to start a factory of gloves
Yeah.
made in the US.
And
So
that's
we're
so
working on, I'm working on a business plan to get that going, and I'm thinking of North Florida.
Why?
Just a little bit closer to the east.
To distribution?
And I like Florida.
Ah.
I just like
But I guess for
Florida.
distribution, it'd be
Easier distribution.
you save 3 or 4 hours.
Correct.
Going up the coast.
Yeah, and right now, just to give an idea for the consumers, the supply chain and the cost to transport the gloves are about 60% of the total cost. So if the cost of a case of gloves is $30 to purchase from overseas, it costs about $35 to transport it. So right now, my analysis and in my business plan, the total cost to make it here in the US with material, labor, and everything is about $30. So, but the key here is, how is that gonna be in a few years from now when things stabilize? So that's what I'm working on in my business plan for the investors. And in my opinion, if I'm a consumer or if I'm a large hospital, I would rather buy made in USA
Of course.
versus made overseas. And I'm really aiming for government and state contracts, because the priority is always for made in USA.
Well, you're giving jobs and stuff. We're getting to the top of the time. How do people find you? You have a website?
Yes, it's www.usliberty.co.
Right. So it's CO, not COM. CO. You have a phone number?
It is 772-888-3982.
Yes, I want to thank you for coming on. It's a lesson for me because I used them, and there was a time where I couldn't get what I was looking for. And it doesn't have to be expensive, but Yeah, we see prices jump, and I would spend a couple of dollars more for something made in the U.S.
Absolutely,
because
I
it gives
agree.
people jobs, and it's usually better quality.
Not only that, but always work with local suppliers.
Yes.
You can talk to the person. It's delivered to you. If there's any issue, you can exchange or get a refund. Plus, you're supporting your local community.
And you get to see them face to face if there's a problem. Nothing better than that.
Yes.
I want to thank you for coming on.
Wayne, thank you so much for having me.
Everybody have a great day, and we'll be
Thank
right
you.
back.